Welcome to the Dawgs Fantasy Football Podcast with your hosts, Justin Charles and Josh All.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Dawgs Fantasy Football Podcast. Justin, not in studio. Can't get him in here, but I do have him on the call, so he is with us on the episode today. So, Justin, how you doing? How was your weekend? I know we had a fun little bash up in Cleveland for the Browns game this weekend.
We did. It was a hell of a party. Hell of a good time. We did tailgate very well yesterday.
Yes, we did.
About 30 or 40 of us. We just decided to turn up and then we left because the Browns didn't show up. But it was a great time. Great weekend. Had a lot of fun with some of the people from the dog, the Patreon and everything. And it was cool from the Dawgs Discord. It was excellent. Great weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. I know this is our fantasy show, but I guess I might as well mention it here. We do have a Patreon group called the Dog Pack. And this is what we've been talking about. Like, we got a group of people in there. We talk all the time. I mean, obviously it's Browns fans, but if you're not a Browns fan, but you like our show, you like kind of the atmosphere here. I mean, it's worth checking out because we're talking fantasy football in there all the time. We got fantasy football threads to chat in there and everything. Mm-hmm. So it's just like a more direct path to us and everybody else who's in there just hanging out. So that's jointhedawgs.com if anybody is interested. But, outside of the Browns getting whooped on by the Chargers, we did have other football games this weekend. And boy, for the fantasy world, I feel like this weekend shook a lot of things up because the injuries were,
oh my God,
the implications of the injuries.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like, which one do you want to start with?
I mean, the ones that hurt me this week, like Brian Robinson.
Yeah, dude.
I didn't even know it happened. Had him in, and I have J.K. Dobbins on the bench in one league, and I'm rolling Brian Robinson. I like the matchup. And then I stumble into the game and I'm checking my fantasy like first quarter and I'm like, out. And then I see like, does a pregame workout. I guess it doesn't go good. The knee, I guess, flared up or whatever on him and sat the game out. So took big zeros. AJ Brown, another guy that I have in a lot of leagues where I'm like already out with Metcalf or like a Mike Evans, like where I'm just absolutely depleted at wide receiver, and I have another guy, and AJ Brown go out. They said it wasn't serious. I guess from what I read that it should be all good.
They're saying day to day now. They thought it was going to be worse than it was. So that's good news because, like you said, I got AJ Brown in a league where I've got Mike Evans, I've got Nico Collins. I'm like, oh yeah, I can't lose another top dude. Like I'm scraping by here. So. Yeah, that hopefully he'll be okay. I guess we want to stick with receivers. CeeDee Lamb, AC joint sprain. Obviously we're at the game yesterday, so I wasn't able to watch any of the other, football games. Caught some highlights, listened to some recaps and things like that. But it sounded like he hurt it early on, is my understanding, and then just kind of played through it. Came in and out, and then I think he came in toward the end and caught like a 2-point conversion or something. But that one seems to be a little more. Could be week to week situation.
Yeah. I did get an update today, just through one of my fantasy apps, and they said it was an AC joint injury. It's not something he's gonna miss a ton of time. Like as far as like an IR situation, it's nothing like that. But I guess it's gonna be more of like probably a pain tolerance thing for him heading into this weekend. So I'm guessing he'll be probably right up till game time decision, I'm guessing, unless they rule him out early. But, and even if you're going to tie into that, Dallas also lost Dak Prescott with a hamstring injury. Yeah. So now you're talking, which that's another injury. I'm like I have him in super flex leagues and I'm like, I am so screwed. Because I got like Aiden O'Connell on IR. And then I'm like, well, let's see what Mason Rudolph has to offer us up this week. Like we're at that point, you know what I mean? We're at that point of the season. And, obviously like in short bench, leagues and stuff like that, this is where you're at. You lose a guy. It's especially like a quarterback. Like And he hasn't even been like phenomenal at all. He's just been kind of very meh. And you're still like, oh man, I'm in big trouble.
That whole team, I mean, you talk about pain tolerance with CeeDee Lamb. It's pain tolerance just watching the damn thing. I mean, the Cowboys are rough to watch. Like you said, Dak Prescott not playing well, which as a byproduct, obviously CeeDee Lamb is not having the type of season that, you expected if you drafted him 101 or 2 or 3 or whatever. And, it hurts like Jake Ferguson, who did okay this week, but I mean, overall it's just kind of like ho-hum, nothing fantastic, that you can really rely on. I mean, I think Rico Dowdle's starting to show that, he can be a fantasy viable asset. They are starting to rely on him a little bit more, I think. And the whole thing with Zeke this week, like not showing up to meetings or coming in late, and they were like, nah, I don't know why I really honestly don't know why they signed him in the first place and tried to make him like the week 1 starter. Anybody with eyeballs knew that Rico was the more explosive back. So it's just good to see them finally start using him at least.
Yep, that's fair. Based off of what I saw the tail end of last year with the Patriots from Zeke, I was like, obviously he still has some juice left, but not anything like, let's say even 5 years ago. You know what I mean? Nothing even close to that. But I think you're right. I think they tried to they didn't address the position as far as like an organization. They didn't address it. And now you're kind of forcing Rico Dowdle into that with Tony Pollard leaving, and you don't pony up for Derrick Henry or somebody like that, or a Saquon Barkley. You're basically saying, hey, we're going to rely on Zeke a little bit just to kind of let this kid get his feet wet as far as an RB1 role. But I think he's the guy moving forward.
Yeah, I think so. And if you're the Cowboys, I mean, they got that. I believe that this week coming up is going to be the Eagles, who are on a tear right now. Now we'll see with AJ Brown and all that kind of stuff. But the way the Cowboys have been playing, their defensive guys banged up, missing the big hitters on that side of the ball. I just, they lose another game or two, and it's do you play Trey Lance? I mean, Cooper Rush is your backup quarterback. You know what you have in him. It's kind of the situation the Browns are going to be in soon, where Jameis Winston's your backup. He's obviously the better quarterback. You're not going anywhere, so you might as well play Dorian Thompson-Robinson just to see can he develop. Obviously, what we've seen so far to him doesn't look great, but he's only had a couple starts. Like, do you give him the rest of the season just to see what he can do? And the same with Trey Lance for the boys.
Yeah. I mean, like if we're going into this week, as far as like waivers and stuff like that, I'm putting in some claims on Cooper Rush.
Yeah.
Over Trey Lance right now, but I completely understand your point. And I mean, I guess it depends on how long Dak's going to be out for. If it's 2 weeks, I could see them still kind of just trying to get through 2 games real quick with Cooper Rush. Last time, I could be completely wrong here, but I want to say the last time Cooper Rush started, he won. It was like 3 or 4 games for Dallas. I thought, and that could be in 2 years ago when Dak hurt his thumb week 1.
I think it was the ankle when he broke his ankle.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, Rush he's a very serviceable backup. I mean, if Dallas, I mean, obviously they're not at a point now where I think they're just going to bail out on the season. So I think to start the next couple games, I mean, obviously you got Cooper Rush if Dak's going to miss, but if you lose those games and it's like playoffs are out of the picture,
right?
See what you got. You got to see what you got, because otherwise Trey Lance is gone after he's a free agent. So he'll just go sign somewhere else maybe and have a chance to play. So
right.
I don't know. We'll see what happens. What other injuries did you want to dive into here?
Let me think. I know those were the main ones that I saw. Trying to think of anybody else that really like affected my lineups.
I know like the Brian Thomas injury from last week. What was it? The rib injury. Yeah. And he played through it this week. Didn't do anything. I mean, he catch two passes for a couple yards or something? Like it was nothing. So I think that could be a good opportunity if you need wide receiver help, and maybe the Brian Thomas manager has a couple good receivers and he's kind of frustrated with that performance, or maybe just the Jags offense overall. I mean, I'd go kick the tires on getting Brian Thomas, because I think he's going to be okay. Like I think he's a stud, and this is probably just a one-off.
Well, I think the chemistry was like coming together. You know what I mean? Like the last couple of years, I always think like with Jacksonville, I think Evan Ingram and I think Christian Kirk, especially Christian Kirk last year was crazy reliable as far as like a fantasy aspect, asset, and also just for Trevor Lawrence. And I think you saw that chemistry start to develop with Trevor and Brian Thomas. But man, I guess it just depends on the leagues you're in. Like in Dynasty, I don't know if anybody's really, especially after what you've already got as far as return on that pick. I don't think anybody's probably trading him. You know what I mean? But in like a redraft.
Yeah, redraft.
I think redraft all day. There would be.
Oh yeah, no one. You're not going to go get Brian Thomas in a dynasty league on the cheap.
No.
But,
not on the not.
But in a
cheap.
redraft is that's what I was talking about. Like just go kind of see if you can get him, if you can kind of snag him away.
I think you probably could. I mean, it just I'm in leagues where guys are just throwing around like the 1-1s type stuff in trades just to try to get a little bit better. And I'm like, oh man, okay. I am interested in a Jamar Chase. Let's talk real quick. But no, I'm with you on that, man. I'm trying to think of any other.
I know. He didn't go out. I don't think, from what I heard. But like Jordan Love didn't. He had no touchdowns. Didn't have a great fantasy day. From what I understand, it was a downpour, nasty weather game.
It's nasty
the whole time. He's dealing with that groin injury from last week. So I think with the weather, the injury, like I think he was just kind of hampered. So I wouldn't put too much stock into that. And
it's in a tough matchup against the Lions. You know what I mean? A divisional game. They're a very, very physical team. But I'm in with you. I wouldn't get too worried about. I mean, as far as like, if there's anything more serious with it, as far as if he re-aggravated his groin.
Another big one that I forgot about was Drake London. Yeah. Drake London went out, hit pointer. So I'm not getting like any updates yet as to like the extent of the injury, if he's going to miss a week or two or whatever. But, if he misses some time, that kind of hurts the Kirk Cousins, upside. Sure. But it does. I mean, Darnell Mooney has been a revelation this year. Like he got out of that shadow of Chicago and into a decent, team, a decent offense, good quarterback, good coaching. And hey, look at him now. I mean, he is flourishing. So it could be wheels up for Darnell Mooney. I mean, it kind of already is. I think you're playing him every week if you got him.
For sure. And I think with the injury, if it is like a multi-week kind of deal, I saw it wasn't going to be a long-term thing, like as far as absence, but Ray McLeod be another guy I think you could take a look at and see, because, the target's got to go somewhere, and they usually aren't going to Kyle Pitts. As we figured out, like it's a very up and down.
Yeah, dude.
You never know what you're going to get with it
this week.
Yeah. So that's a guy I would take a look at, depending on how big your league size and stuff like that. He might be very available, might have to put in a waiver claim.
Yeah, but I think he's probably available for sure. Another couple things, running back for the Bengals, Zach Moss. Zach Taylor said that he is out indefinitely with a neck injury. So if you got Chase Brown, good for you, because that dude looks like he is the guy for the Bengals offense at the running back position. 49ers, they designated Christian McCaffrey to come back from IR. So the way I understand that, they designate him to return. They've got 21 days of a practice window in which to activate him to the active roster, right?
Yes, exactly.
And if he goes all 21 days, doesn't get activated, he goes on IR again and misses the season.
Correct. Yep.
So basically now we're in a 3-week window to see when do they activate him back to actually come play.
And I'm not, as a CMC owner, I'm not expecting him back this week. You know what I mean? Yeah. I know that they did simulated practices during the bye week for San Francisco. I'm pretty much I'm keeping, whether you have Jordan Mason or, I think even the kid behind him, what's his name? Isaac Rendo.
Yeah.
Depending on what's going on with Jordan Mason, last time we saw him, he was hurt pretty bad. I mean,
AC joint. He had the shoulder.
So depending on what happens this week, I wouldn't expect CMC back this week, but I could see them ramping up and then trying to get him ready to go at least for the week after.
Dude, like this. So I feel like last season was a little flukish for the 49ers. So my whole fantasy philosophy with the 49ers for the last 5 years basically has been don't touch. don't touch 49ers.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, except for him, but has been don't touch 49ers because they all get hurt. They always get hurt. It doesn't matter who the running back is, the receivers like Kittle, like these guys are always getting the quarterbacks, Trey Lance, Elijah Mitchell, Brock Purdy with the elbow. Like these guys are always they just get hurt. Yep. And last year I think things went pretty decently for them health wise.
Yeah.
Deebo Samuel always hurts. So like I avoid these guys every year in fantasy, sometimes in my own peril because like there's games with Deebo. I'm like, I kind of wish I had him this year. I'm glad I didn't draft Brandon Ayuk. I wish I'd taken Kittle, but he could go out this week. I don't trust any of the injury reporting for the 49ers. I don't trust anything around CMC because we were told all summer he's fine.
Yep.
And we know how that turned out. So the fact that they activated him back means they're at least planning on having him at some point.
Yes.
But still, I mean, if he does get back on the field, how limited is it? I'm not real excited. Even if he misses this week, I'm not excited for Jordan Mason. He's been really suckish the last few times he's gone out there to start. Like, just, I don't know, man. That team is, what are they, 4-4? They're not having the season they thought they were going to have.
Now, I'll tell you this, though. Next week, I'll start CMC. You know what I mean?
He's active.
If he's active, man, even if it's, let's say they're like, hey, we're going to put him on a 20 snap count. I'm like, yeah, I want 20 snaps
with CMC. Yeah.
And my lineup.
Yeah. If you got him and he's active, you're going to play him.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Especially if you've been waiting on him all season or if you traded for him, like.
Oh, if it's a redraft, man, I'm like, I don't even care. I'm starting him just on, well, I've got a 1-1 invested in this guy. You're going to go play this week for me.
This episode is sponsored by Manly Bands. Dog Pack, it's hard to believe, but the holiday season is here. Ladies, treat your men, and men, how about treating yourselves? Manly Bands is having an early Black Friday sale, 30% off site-wide, plus you get an additional 25% off when you use promo code DAWGS, DAWGS, when you check out. But don't wait, this sale will be ending soon. Guys, if you're getting married soon, you need a wedding band, or if you've been thinking about replacing or getting a second wedding band, Manly Bands is the best place to find bands made for men. Now, they've got your standard gold and white gold bands, but guys, they have some very unique materials and collections to choose from. Tungsten, tantalum, titanium, carbon fiber, even materials like meteorite, antler, and dinosaur bone. Yes, the bands are actually made from dinosaur fossils. They have rings made from Jack Daniel's whiskey barrels. They have a Fender guitar collection, a DC Comics collection, Lord of the Rings. There is so much to see. You just have to go to manlybands.com and use promo code DAWGS for 25% off your order. Manly Bands will send you a free ring size guide if you're unsure of which size you need, and every Manly Band comes shipped with a free silicone band so you can swap it out whenever you're working or playing hard. But don't wait, the early Black Friday sale won't last long. Get 30% off site-wide right now, plus an additional 25% off with code DAWGS, DAWGS at manlybands.com. So I think that's pretty much all the major injuries. If anything else pops up, we'll mention it.
Okay.
So I don't know if you just want to kind of go through a couple positions, talk about some guys that either played really well, didn't play really well, some team situations that maybe we want to try to get into or avoid. You know what? I want to hear. I'll start us off here. How are you vibing about the New York Jets players right now? Because that's a team that's 3-6. They are currently, I just put this together for the Brown show because it's relevant. They're like 9th or 10th in the pecking order now in the draft.
Yeah.
Like they got a long uphill battle to get into playoff conversations.
Mm-hmm. How am I? So I have a lot of like stock in Jets players in fantasy. I'm very much a Breece Hall owner in as many leagues as I can get in. He's kind of been disappointing. I'm not going to lie. He's very inconsistent this year, very up and down. I have Devontae Adams in a couple leagues. It depends on how you look at it. You know what I mean? Like this week was nice, but it was all kind of like a chunk play. You know, the 39-yard touchdown was a lot of his points.
Yeah. Garrett Wilson's been...
And Garrett Wilson's the guy we're not even talking about, and he's the one that's doing well still.
Yeah, he really is, especially since Adams got there. His production's gone up even more. And, that makes sense because, the secondary has less resources to focus on one guy when you got to worry about Adams too now. So yeah, things are working out for him. I'm just, if they keep losing games, and obviously there's all kinds of clickbait stuff out there. People are trying to get you to, read and click their stuff about all kinds of trades. There's are the Jets going to trade Aaron Rodgers before the deadline? Are they going to trade Devontae Adams and all this kind of stuff? Right. I would be shocked if anybody gets moved.
That's where I'm at. As far as that situation, like, I don't think that they can trade Aaron Rodgers. And I don't know, like, the contract stuff with him either. Like, I wouldn't be shocked either if there's a no trade clause, like, for him where he's like, yeah, no, I'm not going anywhere. I'm riding this ship until it sinks. But I'd be surprised with Devontae Adams. Like, I don't even know how that works, if they can trade him again since he just got there. But I mean, it looks like they're kind of in a stuck position where they just have to roll with what they've got,
Yeah, I think they definitely have to roll with what they got, and they got to hope it just gets better. They can stack some wins together. And because the thing that I hate the most in fantasy is whenever I've got good players on bad teams,
yes,
and the team takes the, like, we're not in it, heart's not there, and then you're just seeing, like, especially if you've got a receiver on a team where they decide, we're not going to win anything this year. Let's play this backup quarterback and just see what happens. It's like, you just ruined my receiver,
Right. Yep.
So I'm kind of hoping that situation does not somehow rear its ugly head for the Jets. Cause like you said, there's a lot of fantasy assets on that team that people are heavily invested in.
I mean, maybe, maybe the little Tyrod Taylor action wouldn't be that bad.
It's not the worst step down. It's not like going from Rodgers to Zach Wilson, but
true.
We'll just have to see how it goes. The Jaguars, like, what are we doing with Travis Etienne? Now I'm hearing some rumors that he could be dealt before the trade deadline is tomorrow. By the time this podcast comes out, it'll be Tuesday. So the trade, when you're hearing this, the trade deadline is today at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock PM. Yeah. So Etienne, I mean, the Jaguars have shown that they like Tank Bigsby.
Yeah.
They like using Dearness Johnson. They really don't need Travis Etienne if they can, not on this is already a sunk ship.
Yep.
It's going to be like a soft rebuild. They're going to have to get new coaching in there and all kinds of stuff. And, if you can get some sort of draft capital for a team that actually needs Travis Etienne and will use him, I think that's a more likely trade to happen than some of these other ones I'm hearing about. I
mean, the usage is kind of weird, right?
Yeah.
For Travis Etienne, like when I look at it and I go, three carries for 24 yards, and a couple of receptions.
Yep.
From your number one running back. Something's a little bit off. You know what I mean? At least as far as like touch count, because Bigsby, rushed the ball 8 or 9 times,
something like that. Yeah.
And it's still the output wasn't that great, but 8 times for 22 yards, didn't draw a target. So, I mean,
he's not the pass catcher.
No,
that would be Johnson.
Yep. But that's the thing. I mean, who's really a contender that goes and makes a move for him? Because I could see some buyers, but a lot of our teams are, they've already bought. Kansas City, they have Kareem Hunt filling in for Pacheco, and then when Pacheco comes back, that might be.
I've got very small expectations for Pacheco. Honestly, coming back off a broken leg, already. It was just like a month and a half ago. Honestly, because they don't have the receivers. Now, I did see this crazy rumor that they're maybe like a Tyreek Hill coming back to Kansas City type situation with the Dolphins being 2-6 or 7 or whatever they are. And we'll see. There's always big, crazy rumors around the trade deadline. Then 4 o'clock rolls around and nothing happened. You're like, okay,
right. Yep.
Whatever. But as far as running backs go, I did get the alert that the Broncos are planning to use Audric Estime. More in a prominent role going forward. Javonte Williams, I think if you were kind of riding that ship, I mean, there wasn't much going there. He was voluming his way to everything, and that might be over.
Yeah, I agree. And we talked about them, a couple weeks ago, just how deep that running back room is.
Oh, yeah. They've got guys.
You know what I mean? They got Jalone McLaughlin. They got Blake Watson. I mean, they've got some dudes in that room. I mean, obviously, Javonte Williams has a nice skill set, but it just has not come together since that rookie year when he got injured. It just has never came back to what we saw, that little glimpse of 4 or 5 games. But Audric Esime, I think, is a guy that you can go and pick up. Depends on in dynasty leagues. In redraft, he might be a sneaky play, pick up maybe now. And then if it really does work out where the snap counts are turning his way, you probably kind of stole a guy. You don't even have to fight for him on waivers. But I think it's worth, if you have the roster spot, it's worth, they're not a terrible team. They're actually, they looked pretty terrible yesterday, apparently. But I think that's not a bad team to buy in on.
No, I think that's they've shown their kind of, with the defense, the way the defense is, and Bo Nix showing that. I mean, obviously he's a rookie, so you're going to have growing pains. There's going to be a learning curve. You're going to have ups and downs, but overall, I mean, is he like an elite upside quarterback? No, but looks like he could be a good NFL quarterback? Yeah, he actually does. And yeah, I don't hate the Broncos. I think they're a good middle of the road team. They'll probably be in wild card conversations later in the season. I don't know if they'll actually make it, but they're going to make it interesting either way.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. They look tough.
Yeah. Yeah. A guy that, honestly, I drafted him in a league, been awesome when he plays, disappointed overall has been Jonathan Taylor because he missed the 3 games. But man, when he has played, he's been great this week. Different story. It was Minnesota. Minnesota's defense is so good. They've got no passing threat. Doesn't matter if it's Anthony Richardson, Joe Flacco. That team just that's a big miss on our part if you think about it. Because I remember talking over the summer about the Colts offense is one I want to buy into. I think it's going to be high powered. I think it's going to be fun. I think it sucks. Like they're boring. I mean, they don't do anything. It's like, oh, this team. I mean, Taylor was 13 for 48, 3 catches for 11 yards. Well, Pittman had like 1 catch for 14. Downs was 6 for like 60. It was nothing, just nothing.
I am invested in Josh Downs in a lot of leagues. I do like his upside. I like his upside over.
Yeah.
Yep. I like his upside a lot. And we talked about it on the show. I like his upside a lot more with the option of having Joe Flacco at quarterback. With Anthony Richardson in there, I was like, yep, I'm not starting any of these skill guys. Nope. Obviously bad game yesterday, but if you ran Josh Downs in any of your leagues, you still got decent output. Like if you use your flex play or whatever, 12 points. Yeah. Not terrible, but just not what you were hoping for. But like I said, it was Minnesota. Sure. The thing that I wanted to bring up though, with the Colts, now next week, they've got the Bills who you can run on. So Jonathan Taylor, probably a good play. Not going to be able to pass very well against the Bills. And then it's the Jets and the Lions. So and then it's New England. They got a bye week. And then they come out and they play Denver, Tennessee. So the Jonathan Taylor schedule here, I don't like it. I mean, I'm looking at this and I'm even thinking to myself, like in this league that I've got him, I'm probably going to go this week. I'm going to go try to trade him, or I'm going to go ahead and play him against Buffalo. And then after this week, I'm hoping it's a big game. Hoping he doesn't get hurt again. I'm selling. I am selling the living crap out of Jonathan Taylor because yikes, the schedule just does not look good. That's fair. And I like those kind of plays, especially if you like the return that you're going to get, because the return that you're going to get on a Jonathan Taylor
coming off a good game too next week if he does. Excellent.
I mean, he is an RB all day advertised RB1.
Yeah. So it's not without risk. I mean, obviously there is the world where Jonathan Taylor goes out and torches those other defenses. He's one of the best for a reason, but I'm trying to play the odds. You know what I mean? In fantasy football, you're just trying to give yourself a little bit of an edge. If I can go get another running back, which I'll see if I can find somebody here as we're scrolling. I
was going to say, I wanted to ask you, Mike, well, who would you be looking to get in return? Because I mean, it's one of those things where
so here's a guy I'd be looking to get in return. And again, this would be after this weekend. Cause like I said, Taylor gets Buffalo. So he might have a nice game to go ahead and sell him off of. And then I would try to get a package back that included Tony Pollard. Because Tony Pollard's going up against the Chargers this week. They're a great defense, probably going to have a down game. And then he's got to play Minnesota the week after that. But then it's Houston, and the stretch run is Washington, Jacksonville, Cincinnati, Indianapolis, and Jacksonville. You can run all day on those teams.
Yeah.
And he has been the workhorse, 17, 16, 20, 28 carries yesterday for 128 yards. He's getting work in the receiving game. Like, he is their offense.
I guarantee you can make that happen.
I know. The name value alone. Yes.
Yes. And some. You know what I mean? Yeah. You can get Tony Pollard and another starter, I would think, you know. That's
what I'm saying. Like, get Tony Pollard and upgrade, get another receiver. Or, you know, if you're hurting a tight end, try to snag somebody off a team that's got a couple of them. Or, you know, if you want to upgrade your quarterback, use Taylor and whatever quarterback you have to go get Pollard and a better quarterback.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Because that person might be willing to downgrade their quarterback a little bit if they think they're getting a big upgrade at running back. Which between Taylor and Pollard down the stretch, I'd rather have Pollard.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be interesting. We got to track that. We're going to have to keep an eye on that one.
Yeah. Well, hopefully I remember to make that trade next week and then we can talk about it.
Yes. See if I can trade him to me, bro.
I'm not in. You're not in this league with me.
Yeah. I was going to say, I don't even have Tony Pollard. I'll make that trade with you, bro.
Yeah, I'll have to figure out. I'll have to work out all the details. But that's just one example. I'm sure there's other running backs, and we can kind of look through that. But that's just one guy that came up. I was like, yes, that would be ideal. Any other running back kind of talk, or do you want to switch over to some receivers?
I mean, I guess if we're going to shout some people out, Saquon Barkley, my goodness.
That hurdle, backwards hurdle.
I've never seen anything like that in my life.
Never.
That was video game stuff. You know, that was button smashing like hell. And
yes, that's exactly what it was. I'm glad you said that. You're right. Like, I got to do something. Bam, 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 and then it's like, holy crap. And then you got to go back and watch the replay to see the character jumps and turns and back. It's like, that would never happen in real life.
It was incredible. He had an awesome game. Jalen Hurts had another awesome game too, you know, but he's one that I was like, oh man. Yes. That after, and then you see that play, you're like, I'm glad I'm bought in as a Saquon Barkley owner this year.
It has proven so nice.
Yes.
So nice for fantasy football. The only one that's been better has been Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, Bijan's been better the last few weeks, but I mean, if you're drafting Brees and Bijan and CMC up front, you missed. You struck out because Saquon, Derrick Henry, even like Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery in like the fourth or fifth round. Yes. I mean, my goodness, there are running backs everywhere. After that first round, it just makes me like, next year I'm going receivers. I'm going receivers. I will find these types of running backs in the second, third, fourth rounds. Yes. Yeah, definitely. Yep. This episode is brought to you by Bodden Sports. Bodden Sports is your one-stop shop for all your athletic gear. Bodden started out perfecting and manufacturing the best balls in the business. Yeah, if that sounded dirty, that's more about your mind than my words. But hey, it's true. Baseballs, softballs, footballs, basketballs, volleyballs, soccer balls, you name it, and Bodden has engineered the highest standard sports balls available. And now they offer more than just sports balls. If you got kids playing baseball or softball, Bodden has batting gloves and bats to go along with both game balls and training balls. If you're into basketball, Bodden makes basketball specifically for indoor or outdoor use. Heck, Bodden even has all the equipment you need for pickleball, which is one sport that I hear everyone is playing, and yet I still never have. And I need to fix that soon. But don't miss the backyard game section of Bodden's website, where you can order everything you need for this upcoming outdoor season. Pool balls, backyard volleyball nets, croquet, bocce, horseshoes, cornhole, and more. Right now, you can get 10% off your entire order at Bodden Sports, BADEN sports.com/dogs, DAWGS, and use promo code DOGS when you check out. That's 10% off all the top quality sporting gear you need this season. BoddenSports.com/dogs. Speaking of receivers, so one guy, I had to watch the clip on Twitter a little bit today. Did you see the whole DJ Moore walking off the field thing?
No, I have not seen that.
So I don't know at what point it was in the game, but Caleb Williams is kind of doing his thing, scrambling around, extending the play, runs clear to the sideline. And DJ Moore is like following him down the field. Caleb doesn't throw the ball. I'm pretty sure DJ Moore just assumed Caleb was going out of bounds. Like he was running right to the sideline. I think it was like third down or something because DJ Moore just went to the sideline and then just went right off the field and walked over and sat down on the bench. Caleb Williams stops and turns and runs back across the field, extending the play still and finds like he's still trying to find a receiver and DJ Moore sitting on the bench.
Nice.
Just like walked off on the middle of a play.
Yeah. That's, I mean, probably just a big of a misunderstanding there.
Yeah, but it's just one of those things. It's like, man, that's a bad look. It's just funny though. Very funny.
I mean, I like DJ Moore.
I do too.
I saw his numbers yesterday. They
weren't good.
Well, wasn't excited about that, but
that whole Bears offense has been. There's like a little stretch there where you're like, they might be getting it, and then it's right back. They're not. Nah.
DeAndre Swift has been, something that he's been a nice piece out of that whole deal. But
Keenan Allen, like drop him if you're holding on to Keenan Allen. I don't know why. Just forget it. I mean, like in a redraft league, forget it.
He's got the crazy thing is he got 10 targets this last game, but it was like I don't think he had like 3 catches for 30 yards again. I'm like, oh my God, like this isn't it.
Yeah, I made the mistake a couple weeks ago thinking I could play Caleb Williams coming out of the bye. They were playing Washington. I'm like, oh, what a matchup. Man. He's been heating up. Nothing. Just nothing. So wide receivers though, like Jackson Smith and Jigba was the leader for the week. 13 targets, 7 catches, 180 yards and 2 touchdowns. The dude just went crazy with DK Metcalf sidelined. Good to see.
Yeah, but where was that at last week? I know Seattle was just terrible all over last week, but man, like Jackson Smith and Jigba was a guy I was like, man, you could probably drop him after last week, depending on what you're trying to do. I was like, well, if you can't make it with no Metcalf, then I don't know what to do here. And then you have this game, the absolute, just a blowout, standout kind of performance.
I mean, it really hasn't been a whole lot to talk about since week 2 when it was 16 targets, 12 catches, 117 yards. I don't know. I feel like he's a guy you can put in your lineup, especially with DK not being in. If DK is out, you can put JSN in and just hope for a decent game. Don't expect a monster game. These things, that's why they're rare because they don't happen all the time. But also know that he can bottom out too. I mean, he might get you. Here we get 2 weeks ago, 3 for 9. I mean, that can happen. So they're on a bye this week anyway. But, the Seattle Seahawks, one of those teams that they started out like nice. It was like, oh, this team might have something to do this year. And then they've kind of fizzled. I feel like they're not all that great. Like they're just kind of mediocre.
Yeah.
I mean, the Arizona Cardinals are freaking leading that division at 5-4. I don't know how the Cardinals are 5-4, but they are. It's insane. Let's see who else here. So obviously Garrett Wilson did that one-handed catch.
It's crazy. Where he landed with a shin in.
Yeah.
The touch is crazy.
I know. And all the debates about what counts as a touchdown because who was it last week? They got the George Pickens got his 1 foot in twice. And what was it? Pat McAfee was saying like 2 foots does not equal 2 feet.
It's fair. It's fair.
Like, okay, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but whatever. Zay Flowers, dude, he's cooking out there, man.
Yeah, he's on a nice he's trending way up.
Oh yeah.
He's a guy that I wasn't sure to trust in some of my dynasty leagues. And I was like, I'd put him in, he'd give me 6, and then I sent him, he'd give me 20. And I'm like, okay.
That's how we're doing this. Okay.
Mike Evans injuries and stuff like that. I'm basically forced right now to start Zay Flowers, and Zay Flowers has been very nice for me.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Cortland Sutton had a nice bounce back week with Bo Nix, like we were talking about. Now that playing the Ravens secondary is good for the passing offense. So just keep that in mind as you guys go through if you've got players that are going against the Ravens, if you got running backs, you're not going to get much. If you've got wide receivers and quarterbacks, you're going to be okay because that's how they play defense. Guy that's probably on your waivers. What are you doing with Quentin Johnston? Because obviously we watched him torch the Browns yesterday. It was one big play. It was a 66-yard miscommunication, blown play, coverage, whatever you want to call it. Just wide open. Justin Herbert stuck it on him, and of course, he's fast, so he just goes. And other than that, we had 3 other catches. I don't know what I'm really not going crazy after this guy at all. Honestly, I don't expect much.
No, and he's just kind of a guy I just don't really trust in fantasy. Mm-mm. He kind of gives me Mike Williams vibes, from like a couple of years ago when he was with the Chargers, where, you'd be like, all right, hey, let's see what we have. And he's very boomer bust and he's got some injury stuff. If you're in a really bad pinch, I think you could maybe like throw a flyer, but like there's other guys. Like if I'm buying into that wide receiver room, give me Ladd McConkey.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You give me Ladd McConkey. But yeah, he's not a guy that I trust really.
Yeah, no, we saw McConkey live yesterday. obviously, and
it's good.
He's going to be good. He's going to be a good player in this
very
league.
Good.
Cooper Kupp was the leader for the Rams because Puka Nacua, he had one catch and then he decided to try to punch a guy in the helmet.
Yeah,
got ejected. And I agree with everybody that I've seen say, why are we trying to punch guys in the helmet?
Yeah,
like you're not going to hurt them. You're going to hurt your hand, and you're going to get ejected. It just makes no sense to me. But so he definitely gave you a big old dud if you were playing him. A guy that I think as Browns fans and just fantasy in general, but we got to talk about Cedric Tillman because I know the touchdown was a late time garbage touchdown. I left before it happened. I was already halfway back home because I was like, I'm not staying for this game. And I need to go back and like rewatch the like slow mo of the catch, but I think he's a dude.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's starting. I guess it all just depends on. So Jameis had a very, very off day. He was very not Jameis. I guess he is kind of Jameis,
3 interceptions.
He's very up and down.
Yep.
But I definitely think that there's a legit chemistry there. And Cedric Tillman's kind of growing up like right in front of us. You know what I mean? He's kind of like turning into a wide receiver one every week right in front of Browns fans. But he looks very, very good. He's had 2, I guess 3 now performances in a row that are stellar. You know what I mean? So
yeah, 3 in a row. And I can't remember. I think it was last week when I did this podcast. You weren't here, but I talked about Cedric Tillman, I think. And I said the highest percentage of snaps he had played all season was 37% of snaps before Amari Cooper got traded. Amari Cooper gets traded. He's gone 82, 90, and 96. He's a full-time outside receiver for this team. 12 targets, 9 targets, 11 targets yesterday. He is the target leader. He is the number 1 receiver on the Browns. Yes. I know they've got Jerry Jeudy. Cedric Tillman is the number 1. Like he is the go-to receiver. He's the guy they're trying to target heavily and get the ball to. And the dude makes plays. He's a big-bodied, tough receiver. He's got great hands. He did drop a touchdown pass yesterday that, it was one of those in the end zone where he knew he was about to get blasted, I think. And I remember sitting there and my buddy I was sitting with, I was like, might as well catch it because he got hit anyway. Like you're getting hit.
Right.
You might as well just hold on the freaking ball. But so he could have had 2 touchdowns yesterday.
Yep. And a tough matchup.
Yeah.
The Chargers defense is very, very good. They're kind of like disrespected good, I don't think a lot of people know how good they really are, especially their secondary, and they were starting 2 rookies yesterday. But I do think his upside. Now we'll see what happens the rest of the season because I feel like the Browns are heading into some serious turmoil and maybe some changing of job titles and maybe, players leaving and stuff like that. But we'll see. As far as as long as I think if you keep the chemistry there with Jameis and said, I think you're good.
Yeah, I will say, they're going in the bye this week, so obviously you don't have them. The schedule after the bye ain't good. And this is for Cedric Tillman. This is for Jeudy. This is for Njoku. If you're playing Nick Chubb, you might want to consider seeing if anybody's interested in the name of Nick Chubb in a redraft league because they come out of the bye, it's New Orleans. I'll play them. I'll play Chubb. I'll play Tillman against the Saints. And that's it. And then I'm trying to find some sort of value because it's Pittsburgh, Denver, Pittsburgh, Kansas City. And then they end it with Cincinnati, Miami. And by then, like you said, who knows? It could be full fire sale. Who knows what's going on? So
it could be full fire sale before the show even ends.
That's true. I know. I'm waiting. I keep waiting for alerts all day. I have been just scrolling. I keep posting on Twitter. I'm like, Does anybody have the Ken Dorsey has been fired alert yet? Please.
It's not there yet.
When is it coming? Oh my gosh. Like I got some stats. Like the Browns rank, it's either like 30th, 31st or 32nd in every offensive category, every single one.
I believe it.
All right. Well, that's a rant for another show that we're about to do.
Upcoming.
So, yeah. I'm just kind of scrolling through some names here. Was there any other receivers? I think we'll probably wrap it up here after we talk receivers, but any other just quick conversations you want to have about any players in general?
I mean, we still have a lot to see tonight. You got Kansas City and Tampa Bay. Obviously, that game will be played by the time this comes out. I'm curious to see what happens with Tampa Bay's offense. Like, I'm invested a lot into K. Dotton. I'm curious to see, as long as, obviously Godwin is out for the rest of the season, and Mike Evans still sounds like he's 2 weeks out. I mean, if they continue to force feed K. Dotton at the tight end position, man, what a huge, obviously he's picked up at this point. He's picked up, and you're not might have been already picked up. Yeah. But he's somebody that I'm interested in just seeing what the next, especially like in a redraft. That's such a score.
Oh, yeah,
getting that kind of volume,
dude. And this fantasy football is so much fun, and it's just a game. But gosh, it freaking kills me sometimes. I got a dynasty league where, I was kind of rotating through tight ends because I had Evan Ingram as my top tight end, and he was out for the first part of the year. I had Pat Freiermuth, which was kind of an up and down ride, and then they were switching quarterbacks. I picked up K. Dotton and had him on my bench, and then I had him for a couple weeks. He didn't do a whole lot, and then I dropped him to pick up I needed another running back. And then of course he blows up, and I was like, oh, I was right at him, but it's so frustrating.
I've done it.
Fantasy football, man. It's just one of those. You make some moves, and you're like, oh, I'm so glad I made that trade, and other times it's like, why did I do that?
Sometimes I like going back and looking at the players that I dropped for the ones that I really missed on. I'm just like, God, I'm so stupid. I'm so dumb. Why do I do this? And then, I'm just like, oh, hey, let's go win a championship. Let's go make the playoffs. Make it interesting.
Yep. So I think we'll wrap it up here. If there's anybody we didn't touch on, just drop it in the comments like always. If you've got start sit stuff, trade questions, would you rather have this guy, that guy, whatever, just put them in there. We'll get back with you. And again, if you have any interest in joining that Discord, it's jointhedawgs.com. Check that out. And I mean, if you do, great. We would love to have you and hang out and talk some fantasy football. If not, no problem. But the option is there for you. I didn't say it at the top, but YouTube, like, subscribe, tap that notification bell, all that good stuff. But I guess until we talk to you guys next week, good luck with what are we at? Week 10.
Yes.
We've got 10? We have 5 weeks till the playoffs start.
Yep. So trade deadline's over in 2 weeks. Yeah. We're getting close.
Yeah. Most leagues is week 11.
Yeah. Week 11, week 12.
Yep. So NFL trade deadline, obviously today when you guys are watching this. So just make sure you guys stay plugged into the news and see what's going on. And then, fancy trade deadlines here in a couple weeks. So it's flying by, man. It really is.
Yeah.
All right. Well, appreciate everybody tuning in, and we will catch you guys next week.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Dawgs Fantasy Football Podcast. Make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube and follow the podcast on social media at the Dawgs Fantasy.
This episode is brought to you by Danger Coffee. We talk about how Danger Coffee is made free from mold toxins that are in 45% of the world's coffee, but that's not all that Danger Coffee has to offer. Mineral and nutrient deficiencies are a big deal. They make you feel sick, tired, stressed, and they can give you brain fog. These deficiencies negatively affect your immune system, your digestion, sleep, metabolism. Have you ever wondered why you get an initial burst from your coffee, but then you get that little crash not long after? Danger Coffee's patent-pending process remineralizes your body with more than 50 trace minerals and electrolytes, leaving you more energized, engaged, powerful. These micronutrients enter the cells to boost performance. They bind to toxins to provide detoxification support. I know that sounds like a lot, but the bottom line, guys, is minerals matter, and most of us really don't get enough of them on a daily basis. Danger Coffee delivers micronutrients, plus it gives you access to the minerals you already have. Head to dangercoffee.com, use our code DAWGS, DAWGS, for 10% off your order. And that code can be used over and over. So you get 10% off every order you make using code DAWGS. It's time to start every day off with a cup of coffee that gets you going and actually keeps you going. Dangercoffee.com, code DAWGS.